Tyrod Taylor got a victory in the Tyrod Taylor cover band league. Did you see that coming? He threw them touchdowns really good, threw them touchdowns really good, threw them touchdowns really good, threw their touchdowns really good. He got a rushing tutty too, got a rushing tutty too, got a rushing tutty too, got a rushing tutty too. The Tyrod Taylor Cover Band League. It's more than a cover band. Week 13 has come and gone. Now let's take a look at the Jumbotron. That's your screen, in case you were wondering. But ladies and gents, that is right. Week 13 has wrapped up, and we're just going to go over the matches. I'm not going to do any more segue. The intro was segue enough, wasn't it? Wasn't it? And we're going to go ahead and start off with my match, in particular, the Zan State Fur Assassins versus the Kansas City Kunai with Chain. And the majority of what I have to say about this match was already said via recording of me and my brother previewing our matches, so let's go ahead and take a look at that.
So guys, it is 5:49 a.m. Day after Thanksgiving, so Black Friday. I have not been to bed, I cannot sleep, so I figured I would give some opinions on the game and lineup choices, maybe, I don't know. So first impressions after the Thanksgiving games, somehow both Alex's Josh Jacobs and my Jahmyr Gibbs were in a high scoring game and neither of them really got involved, so pretty low points from both of them. I'm gonna just go ahead and give the excuse for my boy Jahmyr that he had, like Josh Allen, he had to like have a recharge week after unloading 50 plus points on the previous week, so he had to rest. Who doesn't get an excuse is Mark Andrews, only getting 8 points against the 32nd ranked Cincinnati defense against, well, in general, I feel like they're the worst, but the 32nd against tight ends, one of the highest scoring touchdown rates for a tight end, Mark Andrews. Thought it could be a shoe-in, and somehow they found a way to screw it up. So, and it feels even worse because my gut feeling told me to play Jawan Johnson against Miami. He's just been more consistent than Mark Andrews this year. I know he's on New Orleans, who sucks, but I don't know. Mark Andrews, the other tight end I have who I did start, had 2 touchdowns last time he played Miami. And I don't know, I felt Jawan maybe not get 2 touchdowns, but I feel like he's going to pop off, and if he does on my bench, I'm just going to have to hit myself with an I told you so, and maybe start trusting my gut a little more, I don't know. But in a week where literally my season's on the line, if I don't win this, my playoff chances are cooked. I'm not feeling too confident after the first set of games. My 2 players combined are like less than 20 or something, or just over 20, so I don't know. Not good enough to beat Alex so far, so I'm not feeling too good, but we'll see what happens. Oh, guys, I had 2 good matchups, Drake May with the Giants and Jalen Hurts against Chicago, especially after last week. I don't know. I thought for sure Jalen Hurts was going to tear him up, and then Chicago was going to keep up, and it was just going to be a back and forther. And I was completely wrong. This is why I should have just not made that trade and only had Drake May, because, well, actually, I'm glad I made that trade because Bijan is a hero. But that's not the point of this. Jalen Hurts, I gave you the key to the promised land, put you in the driver's seat, and you threw an interception and fumbled it. So essentially you just drove the car off the bridge immediately. You didn't even make it halfway. You just drove it straight off the bridge. Killed me. But hey, if I'm going to lose to anyone, at least it was to Alex. Hopefully he does well in the playoffs. He's got a good team, so if I could undo the trade to give you Bijan back for the playoffs, I absolutely would. I'm rooting for you. Not that I'm rooting against the other guys, but they're my brother. But yeah, Jalen Hurts really hurt me. His one touchdown, of course, is to your player, so just added salt to the wound. It's over. I know you're like trying to keep me positive. I appreciate that, and yeah, there's a 1% chance that my players still somehow pull it out, I guess. But if we're being realistic, Jahmyr Gibbs putting up an 11. Now this, it's over. You got this one in the bag. And yeah, good luck in the playoffs, brother. I will just find some way to entertain myself the rest of the season.
It is 11:34 Saturday night going into Sunday, where we will figure out if I keep my playoff chances alive. I think I lock it up if I win this week against Brandon. And even though I am very optimistic, he is up by 33 points, and any of the players currently playing have a very good chance at pooping the bed. Honestly, I'm looking at my lineup, and I have Tyrod Taylor going against the Falcons, Jonathan Taylor going against the Texans, which still just leaves a pit in my stomach. Brandon picked up Charbonnet and kind of like hinted that I should play Kenneth Walker III and he play Charbonnet. And since they split the carries pretty evenly, see just who gets more points. And I was tempted to do it, and I would have looked like an absolute madman because the person I was going to take out wasn't going to be Josh Jacobs, it wasn't going to be Breece Hall, it was going to be Jonathan Taylor, because I just have a pit in my stomach seeing him go against that Texas defense. And I don't think he'll do what he's been doing. He had he had a 7-game a couple weeks ago, and that was right before he dropped his 50 bomb. And then obviously he had the bye week and he went against Kansas City and their stifling run defense. Well, Houston arguably has a just as good, if not better. And based on the stats I'm seeing, Jonathan Taylor didn't do terrible, but obviously that stifling defense against Kansas City held him from breaking off into a huge yard. So, looking at similar stats in the league, it ranges from like 8 points to 15 points when going against that caliber of run defense. So, I'm not too optimistic going into his match, and I'm not too optimistic going into Devontae Adams' match against Carolina, who's been a very consistent pass defense. George Kittle against Cleveland could go either way. Breece Hall against Atlanta, I'm thinking he's going to put up similar numbers to Josh Jacobs, if not like around 15. I hope he explodes. I hope Tyrod Taylor throws 4 touchdowns for 180 yards just to Breece Hall. Obviously, I'm overprojecting. But looking at Brandon's matchups, Bijan Robinson against the Jets. I really feel like that man's about to put up 30, which scares me. Nico Collins, I'm not a believer in Nico Collins, but he consistently puts up 20 points, so I guess he's good. And then obviously Brandon has that Texans defense that's going against my Jonathan Taylor, so that is just going to go either way. One of us is going to have it blow up in our face. One of us is going to reap the benefits. My main prediction this week, and it's not one of whether I win or lose, it's just a prediction on one man in particular, Tyrod Taylor. Now Tyrod, you're going against the Atlanta Falcons, who, even though they're good at producing turnovers as a defense, haven't been the greatest at preventing fantasy points this year. And the win with Tyrod Taylor playing means more than any other player playing. So I sat Jordan Love on the bench in spite of a gut feeling because of Tyrod Taylor's importance to me. And Jordan Love put up 37.7. I don't think Tyrod Taylor's going to put up that much. But I am predicting he's going to put up 28 fantasy points. And the Jets are going to beat the Atlanta Falcons. You heard it here first.
ESPN alert, Jalen Hurts touchdown 2. AJ Brown. Again, GG on the victory. It's like ESPN's just rubbing it in my face at this point.
And can I just shout out my boy AJ Brown for a second? I know belief was getting lost in him for all these weeks right here.
And the Lou Boy failed him by benching him a couple of times. But we here at the Zan State for Assassins use players to their full potential. And baby, is he being used to his full potential. Now after all this utilage, this matchup might be considered a little bit more heavily, but I am liking this number right here. And even though I only traded for him to be a filler for week 12 against Dallas because I saw this stat line and I was like, oh no, he took that personally. Some bonehead reporter unlocked X Factor AJ Brown by saying, hey, would you say you've lost a step? And then he put up this. And the Eagles might change their game plan up after losing 2 weeks in a row both to Dallas and Chicago. But it ain't AJ Brown's fault. You know? It ain't AJ Brown's fault.
And if you saw that last clip, you saw it correctly. They play Washington twice in the final couple weeks. So in the playoffs, they're playing Washington twice. Even though they added Quinnen Williams, they're still not a great defense. Don't get that mistaken, although they looked great against Kansas City. Do you know who's going to be back on Washington? Who's going to be back as the QB in Washington during those weeks? Jaden Daniels. The trade's all coming together. You guys are seeing. It's about playing chess, not checkers.
And the only thing I would say other than that is Tyrod Taylor did come through, ladies and gents, 29.8 points. Jonathan Taylor did a lot better than I thought he would have. Certainly better than Kenneth Walker, so I'm glad I didn't entertain that thought. I'm pretty sure Charbonnet actually outscored Kenneth Walker, so Brandon would have beat me in that regards. And even though we kind of gave the credit to Tyrod Taylor when we finally got the Tyrod Taylor W, the Seahawks were definitely my player of the game, of the week, putting up 35 points against an all-rookie cast in Minnesota. Putting up a terrible showing, but that is great for me. And then Devontae Adams proved me wrong against Carolina with the 21.8 points. But that's not to say I was wrong, because Bijan Robinson did put up 30. Nico Collins was like, yeah, I am good, and put up 21.5. The Texas defense did not stop people as much as I want, mainly because they didn't get the turnovers. They just allowed points, so their point total went down, even though they only let up 16 points. So that's really all I have to say about that match. Thanks, Brandon, for an awesome week. Thanks for some of the kind words you've been sharing for me in chat. And like I said, it's not over yet. I said in our chat that I personally will refund whoever wins the toilet bowl. I will personally refund, not from the prize money, but from my own personal collection, your entry fee into the league if you win the toilet bowl. So you're still fighting for something, so don't give up yet. The next match on the agenda is Pardon Me versus LaMarvelous Chase, and honestly, his team had the worst performance. 72 points. What can you really say about that? Like, Lamar Jackson's his best guy, and he only put up 12.4, 11.6. The only person who showed up is his personal team's MVP. I might as well stop the MVP voting for him, because Trey McBride's easily going to win it, especially since Lamar Jackson just sucks all of a sudden for some reason, putting up not over 12.4 points. That's his best he's put up in 3 weeks. I don't know, man. I don't know why he's doing so bad, but Lamar Jackson is just kind of terrible fantasy-wise right now. And when your team pretty much puts that up across the board, like, you get double digits from Lamar Jackson, who should be getting around 20-25 points at the minimum, it's a rough go. The only one who played anywhere close, yeah, I'm just repeating myself at this point. It was a slaughter. Meanwhile, on the opposite end of the spectrum, Pardon Me's team didn't do all that great. Saquon Barkley still has not come alive at all. Just continues to get shut down, so that's rough, although the trade was good for me and for Brandon as well. Derrick Henry continuing to put up decent numbers. Patrick Mahomes continuing to make his claim for the MVP. McMillan putting up around his projections, and then Brandon Aubrey doing Brandon Aubrey things. I think he's the number one. Oh, position rank 2. I might have the position rank 1 now. Let's check. I do. How about that? but even his team wasn't that impressive. I shouldn't say that, because in these two teams right here, he put up the most points, and he's in the top 4 playoffs, which spoilers, freaking spoilers. But it just was an underwhelming performance, and there's only so much you could say about it other than Lamar Chase's team is letting him down, because I don't feel like his team should only be scoring. Zay Flowers with the 0.6 points against Cincinnati. What is that trash? But we're going to move forward to the Cleveland Chubs, who, in theory, keeps his playoff hopes alive by winning the week. Lou Boy is officially eliminated from playoff contention. Also not really putting up an amazing performance on either side. Both scored over 100, so I would say that's about average, even though 120 is more close to the average. Matt Stafford underperforming. James Cook meeting over his projections. But for the most part, single digits here at the bottom, double digits at the upper half. A little bit more consistency than this flip-flop that was going on over here at the Lou Boy, which I'm not quite sure why Joe Burrow was left on the IR. I imagine we're around the holidays and maybe he just didn't get around to it. Maybe there wasn't as much survivability because he's eliminated from playoff contention, which is, again, why I'm saying whoever wins the toilet bowl will get essentially a refund on their entry fee. That way, you essentially get to play for free this week. So hopefully that sparks a couple of life back into some of you guys and has you fighting for a spot, because there's a couple of the decisions here that I don't quite get. Daniel Jones against Houston. I feel like he just left him in or forgot him or something and didn't quite make some changes. Not that it would have made the biggest difference in the world, but look how close that was. So it would have made the biggest difference in the world. I don't know. That's really the only thought I have on that, is this was a really close matchup, and I feel like somebody wasn't paying attention. And then finally, Punishment Incorporated putting the beat down on the #1 seed in the league thus far, which I think gives him the opportunity, if Alex loses 2 weeks in a row, to take the #1 spot. Those hopes are still alive, because if Punishment Incorporated scores more points than Killer Kowalski and takes that position on the scoreboard and ties his record, then he'll probably take that #1 seed. So that hope is still alive, especially when he's got people like Dak Prescott putting up 32.2 points, a chain continuing to have an MVP caliber season, Brock Bowers and Jamar Chase putting up decent numbers. In fact, the only one who didn't put up numbers is Jackson Smith-Njigba, who was another one of those ones who was called guaranteed. Huh. Guess nothing's guaranteed in fantasy, huh? Anyway, Josh Allen. Josh Allen scoring 21.95 points. Christian McCaffrey with a guaranteed 20 points, only putting up 17.4. Bucky Irving putting up 16.1. George Pickens putting up 60.8. And like I said, it's hard to sit here and judge Alex because he did better than half the teams in the league this week. He just happened to be going against Punishment Incorporated, who lived up to his name and punished incorporated him. And realistically, like Josh Allen against Pittsburgh, you would expect Josh Allen to destroy that defense. Over Bo Nix versus Washington, I don't know. I think that's the same caliber matchup, so you got to go with the better QB on paper, which is Josh Allen, who just got embarrassed in the previous week, only putting up 15 points, so we were expecting him to turn around and just go. So I can't even fault him for making that decision. Not that it would have made too much of a difference, because it was a pretty one-sided beatdown. Everybody you expected to show up showed up to the affair, and Punishment Incorporated showed why he's one of the most dangerous teams in the league, although Killer Kowalski is currently the #1 seed, aka the most dangerous guy in the league. And I will be playing one of these gentlemen in the playoffs, so I look forward to it. Which there's some parity there, which I will talk about right now. As you can see, ladies and gents, 3 spots are already locked up. I'll say all 4 spots are locked up because I have a 99%. Like I said, Cleveland Chubbs has to bank on me losing, him winning, and then him also scoring the difference between this point right here, which I'm already like 100 and we'll say 50 ahead of him. So he has to score 150 more points than my team and tie my record. So I'm pretty guaranteed in a playoff spot at this point. The other parity is who I play next week. The seeding is not finalized quite yet. Primarily because why don't we go into next week's schedule real quick? Because I'm playing Michael. I'm playing, pardon me, And if I beat him, our records tie. But as you can see on the scoreboard here, one of us is clearly scoring significantly more points. So unless he makes up that difference and scores like 70 more points than me this week, if our records tie and I beat him, I will be taking that 3rd seed, which I am totally hoping and believing is going to happen because, Michael, I'm pretty sure you beat me in our other match, and I need my revenge. So if you could just lose, that would be great. And also the projections have me winning, even though that doesn't mean anything. Plus, he's got Patrick Mahomes going against that Houston defense, so we don't know what we're going to see. They limited Josh Allen to 15 points. Let's see if they can do that to Patrick Mahomes, although Patrick Mahomes has a more formidable receiving core going into this match than Josh Allen did, so expect a beatdown. I'm expecting Toyota-thon Jordan Love to go into a weak Chicago Bears defense, even though the Eagles made them look strong. Not A.J. Brown. And just decimate them. Him and Josh Jacobs, I'm hoping they put up Josh Jacobs 20 points. Jordan Love throwing 4 touchdowns would be amazing. All over the place. It's all a hope. I'm a Packers fan. I have to ride my boys this week. We got Tyrod Taylor his victory, even though he is going against Miami, which I still got my eye on that. Either way, I have a favorable matchup at QB, which makes me happy. I just, now that I got my win with Tyrod Taylor, I'm playing it a little bit more smart. More of that to come. Jonathan Taylor going against the Jaguars. A better running back this season than Saquon, but we all know the running back Saquon could be going against I don't know, Chargers defense. Jonathan Taylor, he needs to get something going. 15 points is great. It's better than, I was expecting, honestly, against Houston. So hopefully he rides that wave, gets a couple of touchdowns, puts me back into the golden days. Or maybe he doesn't get a touchdown. He saves them all for the playoffs, because that's coming soon. A.J. Brown, I'm not sure if he's going to continue his hot hand, but the reason why I'm currently having him in is he has double digits in targets every single week, and I cannot ignore that at the moment. Justin Jefferson, I don't have much confidence in him because of his quarterback situation, but he is going against a weak Washington defense. Same as T. Higgins, who has Joe Burrow back going against Buffalo, which should be a shootout affair. Harold Fannin Jr. going against Tennessee, which is specifically why I picked him up, because as you can see down here, George Kittle is saying bye, 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 doing his best impression of In Sync. Breece Hall going against Miami, so he is playing that hot hand. I think he's going to get more of the offense than Tyrod Taylor, which is why I'm comfortable having him in. Hopefully I get proven right there and Breece Hall breaks out. But at the same time, like I said, if these guys want to save their huge performances for the playoffs, I don't mind. I just need them to score enough points to where if I lose, no one can take the lead, which, like I said, is catastrophically a rough situation. I'm not losing my playoff spot. And then the Seahawks going against a struggling Atlanta Falcons offense. Bijan Robinson's pretty much all they have consistently going for them. QB situation's a little bit rough with Michael Penisland being replaced by Kirk Cousins due to injury. Kirk Cousins, I love that dude, but man, he is a coin flip. He is Two-Face from Batman. He's like, am I going to suck this week or am I going to be good? Well, not good. Decent. There we go. That's more of what we're going for. And then Jason Myers, the #1 kicker in the league, going against Atlanta, so I'm expecting them to score against that because Tyrod Taylor beat them. He's great, though. Somebody told me their defense was good, so that makes me feel even better. And then Brandon Aubrey going against Detroit, which makes me feel good. I feel like they're going to get stopped in the red zone maybe once or twice, so Brandon Aubrey could... I don't know. I don't want to predict kickers because you never know with kickers. You'd be like, oh, these people let up the most field goals. But it's like, can you bank on that every single time? No, you can't. Jake Ferguson going against a weak pass defense in Detroit. People have been tearing them up. So he's got a good matchup there. DK Metcalf, in theory, has a good matchup, but he hasn't been getting tossed to the most, especially since Aaron Rodgers is like, my wrist! And doesn't really seem like himself right now. And then he's banking on the Steelers to shut down. But if Lamar Jackson comes back this week, that would be great. Next on the docket is LaMarvelous Chase, riding that same wave. Lamar Jackson in Pittsburgh, whereas David Montgomery going in Dallas. And I can understand that. I don't know, man. Who would he play over that? Because I'm sitting there like half judging him. I'm like, Brian Thomas Jr., who realistically hasn't done too much this season. He had a 23-point game against Seattle of all teams. But David Montgomery is a great player. Do not get me wrong. He is just the backup to an even better player, so it's hard to be like, yeah, play him. And my brain can't always wrap around it. But doubling up on the Detroit going against Dallas is a smart move. I'm not going to question it. Jaylen Warren going against a weak Baltimore defense this year. Zay Flowers going against a weak Pittsburgh defense this year with Lamar Jackson. So if there was ever a week where you're going to double dip with these boys, it's going to be a week after a couple weeks after them struggling multiple weeks. Trey McBride going against the Rams. That might not be quite the same as last week, but he is the main target in Arizona right now, so it's hard to say. Jalen Waddle and his offense going against a weak New York Jets defense. Browns shutting down Tennessee from the looks of things. It could go either way. This is going to be interesting. Oh, on that same note, Matthew Stafford and Puka Nacua going against a weak Arizona defense. Quinshon Judkins running on a weak Tennessee defense. James Cook going against a weak Cincinnati defense. Man, what a week to be the Cleveland Chubs. Although the two Chargers are where I'm like, I don't know, because Philadelphia, the only thing that does look good on them right now is their defense, although you can ask the Bears and the Cowboys what they think about the Eagles defense. And Travis Etienne going against Indianapolis. I imagine there's a couple of matchups that are probably going to get swapped in and out here. I feel like people need to stop sleeping on Chase Brown, especially since he's going against a weak Buffalo, but he probably hasn't touched his lineup yet. In fact, why not just play Nick Chubb against the Chiefs? He's your boy. He's who your team's named after. Do it. Do it. And Ashton Jency could potentially have a good game against the Broncos D because, like I said, they're hardcore against the pass defense. Running seems to be the optimal strategy against them. But your team has to be somewhat formidable in the run game entirely, and the running back being good but the O-line being terrible is not a good mix. So,
Remember, I say this is will his help story.
I don't know. I'm not going to play coach or anything here. Jerry Jeudy might be somebody you drop even though he's your boy. He's in Cleveland. He's having a lot of chemistry issues with Shedeur right now. And Shedeur is handling it, dude, in the press. Then Brandon looking to play spoiler. Trying to prevent Punishment Incorporated from having the #1 overall seed. Potentially. It's all potential at this point. And he has Jalen Hurts going against the Chargers. Jahmyr Gibbs going against Dallas. Bijan Robinson going against Seattle. Nico Collins going against the Chiefs, which passing game did great against the Chiefs. Dak Prescott actually threw all over them. The question is, can the Texans do the same? CeeDee Lamb going against a weak Detroit defense against the pass game. They're not a weak defense, just against the pass game, okay? And then Mark Andrews going against a weak Pittsburgh. Drake London also going against that Seattle defense, doubling up on it, but I understand it because those are two #1 players. And then that Texas D trying to shut down Kansas City. Can they do it? It looks like Brandon, I think he said he's going for a gimmick or something like that, but he is dropping a lot of players right now. It looks like there's a rebrand going on. On the same opposite end of the spectrum, like I said, Dak Prescott going against that weak Detroit. Him and CeeDee Lamb are kind of clashing. I don't know if this is Richard's final lineup. He tends to do a lot of switches beforehand, but he has some good matchups. New York Jets defense for a chain to eat. Kyron Williams to eat the Arizona defense. Jackson Smith and Jigba to eat that Atlanta defense. Jamar Chase to eat that Buffalo. Brock Bowers, that's where it starts getting a little tighter against Denver, but the tight end tends to be the bailout man, so against tough defenses, that might be good for his tight end position. Rashee Rice against Houston, that's going to be an interesting matchup, and I look forward to seeing how he does. Jaguars going against Indianapolis Colts. and Chris Boswell going against Baltimore. I imagine we're going to see that Jaguars D get swapped out. Richard's pretty consistent with swapping Ds out based on the matchup, so that's probably not the final go, but a lot of good matchups on both sides to end the season. And then finally, Killer Kowalski. A lot of people might look at this. A lot of people might look at this and be like, ooh, it's an appetizer before the playoffs for Killer Kowalski to pad his stats and get a 10th win. I'm saying it's a chance for the Lou Boy to make a name for himself and get some momentum going in. Like I said, have you guys not heard? I'm giving the winner of the toilet bowl the refund on there. But he's got Joe Burrow going against Buffalo. And Josh Allen's going against the Bengals, baby. We're going to be seeing that shootout in real time. Two very consistent running backs in Javonte Williams and Bucky Irving. Bucky Irving returning to put up more numbers than Javonte Williams. But Javonte Williams has been one of Lou Boy's bright spots all season long. He's had a couple of low points right here in the middle, but consistent pretty through and through. RJ Harvey coming in clutch for him last week. I don't know if I would personally play him in back-to-back weeks, but who am I against DeAndre Swift, who is kind of in that same situation? Alex said it best on the chat, feast or famine, which will we see against Green Bay. He's going to freaking famine. You might want to take him out. Put in Emeka Egbuka going against a weak Saints defense. George Pickens going to be a clutch option against that Detroit pass defense. Cortland Sutton going against the Vegas. Chris Olave going against Tampa Bay. Oh, they're matching tit for tat right now. You cut these top three off, they're matching tit for tat, other than obviously the Joe Burrow and the Josh Allen. Tyler Warren against Jacksonville. Ooh, Travis Kelce going against Houston. Ooh, that's where it's like, oh, that seems like it's a little bit one-sided, although Jacksonville is good at picking off the ball. So who knows? Maybe I'm not. Maybe what? Two of them? Who are you? And then the Packers going against Chicago. That's right. Make that prediction with me. Put your hand on the screen and say, I'm doing it. And then the Broncos going against the Raiders. Oh my goodness. There's some great looking matchups in the board. And I just hope it's a great week of football, guys. I just hope it's a really great week of football. And I hope we're all coming in with some passion. Hopefully this doesn't discourage anybody. And hopefully we're game. We're ready to hit that reset button and play for the prize, because this is for the legacy of the league, guys. Going down the line, if you're in last place in the league multiple times over and over and over and over again, that's going to hurt your legacy. It doesn't matter. Look at the Washington Nationals. They won the World Series in 2019 and then went right back to sucking. No one even remembers that World Series, except for Washington fans like myself. But you don't want to be remembered for that legacy. You don't want to be that person that's like, maybe it was luck. Maybe they just got hot at the right time. Maybe they're just always going to suck and they don't have any ball knowledge. No. This is our chance to prove them all wrong. This is our chance to play the right players. This is the chance to believe in ourselves. And this is our chance to get that refund for that $10 for the winner of the toilet bowl.